Hello, everyone. This is Rob Golfi with REMAX, the Golfi team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show with host Aiko Iwashita.
Good morning. And I'm so happy to be with you every time because I feel like everybody is talking about real estate. And I feel like when I talk to you, I am now on the level of everybody else because I need to know all the knowledge.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? I'll tell you, the one thing, it's funny how everybody is interested in real estate, like whether
Yes.
they own a house or don't own a house, or they did own a house or they're retired. Everybody wants to know what's going on in real estate. Like when I go to a function, a lot of people always ask me, how's the market? And I just say, you know what, we're grinding it out. It's, the market's flat, and I always say, listen, you got time to buy a house, meaning two different ways. Time, you do have some time to buy a house, and another way is that when you do put an offer in, you got time to get your conditions, your home inspection, and everything done on that. And but it is a tough grind out there. Sellers are struggling to sell their house because, and the one big mistake they make, and we've talked about this many times over the past, is that they overprice it, and then they end up dropping the price and then losing it. So we had one incident where we had a $2 million house, and we got two offers within the first week.
Wow. And so that's great.
It's awesome, but the seller did not want to take our advice, and we informed him. Let's work with this one, not the other one. And he goes, no, I want to work with the other one, all this kind of stuff. So we countered the other offer back, and they walked away.
No.
The good offer that we should have worked with, we went back to them with our tail between our legs, and they said, sorry, we're not interested anymore. So we lost both offers. So your best, and that first offer, it was conditional on sale of another property. So we had to wait another property to sell. But they were willing to take their condition of sale property out. So the seller is kind of worried that, well, what if they don't sell? It doesn't matter. They are under contract. They will be sued if they don't sell. So they will sell. And so he was more worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, we have nothing now. And it's sad because he didn't take our advice, and he pushed for us to follow his instructions. And I think he's very regrettably understanding how we operate. And so we acknowledge to him, say, hey, listen, this could happen, and it did happen. We told him, if we take your route on doing this deal, this is what's going to happen. And now we got nothing. So again, and we're experienced. We know what we're doing. We've dealt with this hundreds and hundreds of times. And we said to him that the second offer, we go back to them, they could change their mind, walk away, or you may not even get the same price that they were giving, because they were giving a good price. So that is an example of what could happen. Your best offers do come in the first 2 weeks of your house being listed. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you're overpriced, you got nothing. Now your house starts, the countdown starts after 2 weeks, the house starts becoming stale. But when you have an offer, and in the first week, 2 weeks, you try to do everything in your power, especially in the market that we're in right now, this market, try to make that deal happen. Now, sometimes, go ahead. Sorry.
How many of your clients have almost like a problem thinking outside of what we went through a few years ago during the pandemic? Like they feel like that market is still this market. How hard is it for you as a real estate agent to try to get that point across, that the markets are different?
It is hard because, and it's funny, people's minds, when they see or hear something in their neighborhood, and they say, hey, listen, that house down the street, just sold, for $900,000. And I'm telling this guy he's got a list at $750,000. And I go, really? Let me go. And I'm going, I don't see it. I don't see it. And then I go back 4 years, oh, there it is. So in his mind, he thinks it just happened because we're not paying attention to timelines when we see things happening. So he's thinking, or she's thinking that just happened. And we all go through that, right? We see something, we think, hey, I think something happened just 2 months ago or 3 months or 6 months ago. Meanwhile, it was 2 years ago
Mm-hmm.
when something happens in the neighborhood or anything. And people are still on that because they want that number. And that was a different time. Now, a lot of sellers, they're realizing that they overpaid. Sellers now that they're not going to get the price that that their neighbors got. And I'll give you a perfect example. Every city's got areas that are lower priced homes and not as good neighborhoods and stuff like that. I find what we're scrambling with is the buyer came from outside of the city, like maybe the GTA or whatever, and their agent came from there. And they sell them a house. And their agent has no clue of the area, and either does the buyer. So they buy a house, and then they put tons of money into this house, which is over improvement for the area. And now they're trying to sell. And we're dealing with a lot of that dilemma where a seller is going, well, I got this much money in this house. I wouldn't have bought this house if I knew this neighborhood, was, this bad or this and that. And I go, and that's the big mistake that people make when they hire a realtor in their own city and going to another city. And
Right.
and it happens all the time. So I do report cards on every listing. So there's there was a bunch of listings we had, and actually in my report card on this one listing I just did yesterday, I said to the agent on my team, and the report card is when it hits 18 days on the market, I do a full evaluation to see the showings, the value, and see what the value should have been at if it was listed right. Now this one house is in Niagara Falls. And it should be listed at $400,000, and it's not a great area, and I in there inputted, and I don't know if the agent was out of town when it sold to these people or the buyer was out of town. So I sent the report card, and the agent on my team says, Rob, bang on, you called it. Like, you called it because the agent that sold him this house was from the GTA. And the buyer was from out of town, from I think Mississauga or something like that. And I just said, chances are a local person probably would not have bought this house and put this much money into this house and would not buy this house in this area. And it seems like it's all these out of town people. So now we have to wait for another agent from out of town with their buyer from out of town to buy this. But these people may not have the time to wait for that. So we're reducing the price of the house, and it's a beautiful house. It's a great house. I should look at it and buy it as a rental. It's not the greatest area. I know I'll struggle selling it down the road, just like these people are, but I'll have to sell it for what the market is in that area at that time. So, there's always that problem, and it's in every city. St. Catharines, Niagara Falls, Welland, Fort Erie, Hamilton, everybody, all these people that are using their out-of-town agents to come in to find them a house. Bad news. Do not do it. Obviously this is a Niagara real estate show. People in Toronto, there should be a Toronto real estate show. Say, listen, do not use your agent to come to Niagara. Use somebody that lives in Niagara and works here to buy a house, so that you don't get stuck with a house that's not in a great area. So and we see a lot of that. So.
You guys are the professionals. You guys need to advise your client in the best way possible. And if you're not knowledgeable about the area, you're not going to be able to get the great advice from the real estate agent from out of town. So Rob Golfi, you guys are the guys to do. People can call you at any time, 905-641-0308. You can go online to robgolfi.com as well. And it's one of those things where, do you find that you get out-of-town agents calling you to say, hey, would you like to represent, my client? They're looking in the area. Do you get any of that?
Absolutely. We're listing a house right now as we speak. A Mississauga agent called us to list their house. They had it listed themselves, and they're finding it's a struggle. And we are listing it. We've got, actually, we always have at least 1 or 2 houses at any given time from realtors that actually live in the GTA, and they own properties here, and they call us to sell them. And and sometimes we get kind of screwed. They want our advice, and then they end up putting the price that we suggest and the details. And we go, oh, it happens. They're using our advice, they're using our expertise, and I call them right out. I go, hey, you're a realtor. Why are you calling me? Well, we think we need to be with a local realtor versus myself, from the GTA. I says, I hope so. I hope you're not just using me for information, and then kind of, I call them out right on it, and I can tell if they're lying to me right away, because if they hesitate in answering, then I know they're just using me. If they right away say no, we're gonna use you. We need a local realtor, then I feel more comfortable about that. But we get a lot of calls from realtors. I got one lady and her husband. They have a house in Stony Creek. We are putting it up for sale. We told them, here's the deal, this and that. And you know what? And I'll tell you, a lot of agents out there, like 7% of the agents do the bulk of the business. So we got 93% of the agents don't do that much business. So they're not as experienced enough to know details on a listing, if it's right or wrong, or what to put on there and stuff like that. So and that's why a lot of them will call us, because they're not even sure of themselves, of their own house. But another thing is, hiring another agent, that means they're insured. I'm insured. That means their house is insured. As a realtor, if there's any mess ups, we have errors and omissions. Now, if they put their own house up for sale and they screw up and there's some situation, errors and omissions, they're not covered. There's no insurance. So it is wise to list with somebody else if you're a realtor, and because I'm insured. Like if I sell my own house, I'm on the line for it. If there's anything that's happening legally, the insurance company say, hey, listen, that's your own house. Yeah, we're not covering it. You should have had it listed with somebody else. So that's the one thing which is wise with these realtors from out of town, that when they call us to do that. So
and you cover such a large area as well. I mean, we're talking Hamilton, all of Niagara region as well. So you know exactly what's happening.
I do. We have agents that live and work in all in Niagara, Fort Erie, Welland, Niagara Falls, St. Catharines, Grimsby. We have agents that live in all that area, and same thing in Hamilton, Stony Creek, Halton, like Burlington, Oakville, and Brantford. We've got agents that live in all those areas. So when somebody's looking for something in that area, we will designate that person that lives in that area to take them and work with them when we're dealing with anything to do with real estate.
I actually know a few people who have lived in the, let's say, like Hamilton area, and they are retiring and they're looking at places like Fort Erie.
Oh, Fort Erie, great place. It's becoming more and more popular. Before COVID, Fort Erie and Welland were tough areas to sell real estate. Well, tough areas to sell real estate. It just wasn't grabbing, like it would take longer to sell. Property values just didn't go up in value as much. But after COVID, things changed. Like a lot of GTA buyers went out that way. They were developing a lot of houses that were affordable. Now, Welland and Fort Erie, they're becoming more and more expensive right now, and they are taking longer to sell, just because in general the market is slower.
Right.
But Fort Erie and Welland, yeah, it's different now. Population from the GTA is coming towards Niagara.
And you're saying about, local buyers coming into this market. That's obviously not just a trend anymore. It's happening more and more often. And of course, if you're coming from the GTA and you're coming in towards, Hamilton and Niagara, not knowing the area at all, You yourself and your agents who live in the neighborhoods, who live in these cities, can tell them the good, the bad, the pros and the cons, and also, what their house may be worth in the next, X many years if they want to sell. Like, these are the things that you guys have learned over the years. Your expertise really spans how many years?
Oh, since 1998. So it's about 27 years now, I think, or
Yeah,
28.
I mean, your team has just proven how strong you are with the amount of homes that you sell. On a yearly basis, you guys have the numbers to show that. So, people that are coming from outside of the market, because they're coming, should really be contacting you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially like I grew up in Niagara Falls. I rode my bike when I was a kid in almost every street
What was
in
our
that
favorite
city.
mode of transportation?
I went everywhere on my bike, and I know St. Catharines because obviously it's part of Niagara and Welland and everything. Because I had friends in all those areas, especially the people that are listening. A little older generation, we went over the river and had some fun going over to the bars back in the old days. Driving over the border was a lot of fun back in the old days.
Exactly. The proximity of Hamilton, Niagara to, across the border and into the Toronto area is absolutely perfect. So I know a lot of people are going to be coming towards this area. And if you are looking for more details as to what is happening in the wonderful world of real estate, you got to just stay tuned. Coming up more on the Golfi Real Estate Show on 610 CKTB, the Niagara edition.
I know the importance of hiring the best agents.
I'll take a photo of your house and post it on the World Wide Web.
Next,
our multi-million-dollar marketing system reaches tens of thousands of potential home buyers every day.
Go to robgolfi.com and put the best team to work for you.
And welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show Niagara edition. It's Aiko in for Steph Vivier on 610 CKTV. And as always, we are joined by the real estate guy himself, the guru, the guy with all the information you need, Rob Golfi of REMAX Escarpment. You can always give him a call and his team at 905-641-0308. Welcome back, Rob.
Well, I'm here to talk about what's happening in real estate.
The ever-changing world of real estate. And, over the years with you in the market, you have seen it all. And I'm sure you have seen this problem before, and it's kind of coming back as well when it comes to people having issues closing their home when it comes to appraisals. Have you seen this problem before?
Yes. And you know what? And I was one of those people that I bought a property, actually two properties, and the appraisal came in lower than what I put the offer in. And the one is my office in Burlington, and so the appraisal came in like almost $180,000 less than what I paid for it. And
that's a bit of a panic, isn't it?
Well,
would you feel that?
I still had a chance to get out of the deal because it was conditional on that. And so what happened was they weren't budging on the price, and the problem was, they knew I wanted the property. So they saw the motivation of me wanting it, and they weren't budging. They budged. I negotiated a little bit of money, like $25,000 off the price, but not $180,000. And and they were rolling the dice to see if Rob Golfi was going to pay over on that listing. And I did. I did give him that. So what happens is when you go to the bank, so whatever your down payment is, it's going to be that much higher now, because the banks say, well, listen, if the property came in at 1.3 million as an appraisal, and let's just round the numbers, and then your purchase price is 1.5, and you have to make up that $200,000 difference as a down payment. So let's say your down payment was supposed to be $400,000. Well, now it's going to be $600,000 to make up that difference, and that's where it could be a problem. And you know what I mean. But a lot of times when people are buying residential home and it's in the $500,000-$600,000 range, and even if it's $25,000 off, either you negotiate. Again, say, hey, or you pay the extra. And sometimes these appraisals aren't done. And here's where the problem comes in, is when the market is moving fast sometimes the banks don't do the appraisal till like a week before the closing date. You know, you got your financing, everything's all good, and then the closing date is happening in the week, and then the bank say, no, we can't finance you, even though they approved you. It's because of the appraisal. So you could have bought a house in February of 2022 for $900,000. The closing date could have been in June of 2022, and the appraisal could come in at maybe 700 or 750,000, and it's happened many times. But you're still under contract. You've got a firm deal. You have no choice. You either going to get sued, or if you walk away from the deal, or you close the deal. You got to come up with the money, the difference. And this is where banks really, really get people in trouble. They should do the appraisal at the time that the offer was done at that time, because markets change month by month. But when the markets are changing fast, it's problematic. And
is there a reason why they don't?
Too busy. They just, so what they do is they have an appraiser do a drive-by appraisal. They go online, they check out the listings, they check out the photographs and everything. Now, if there's not that many photographs, they need to get into that house to appraise it, so the banks feel comfortable with the purchase price. And you know, and that's when appraisals sometimes they do cause problems for buyers when the market is going down. Now, when the market's going up, not a big deal. It's good.
Right.
You know what? He bought it for, let's say, $750,000, and 6 months later, it's worth $850,000. The guy made $100,000 moving into his house, and that has happened. And that has happened. Like, so, and the thing is, if you're buying a house and the market's moving rapidly, get the appraisal done right away. Say, you tell the bank, I need the appraisal done. I don't need any hiccups happening in 6 months, especially with a long closing. And it happened to a lot of builders. A lot of people bought in 2021, in the beginning of 2022, and with condos, and now they're just being finished right now, and they're worth less than what they paid for it. And a lot of them can't close the deals, and a lot of developers are in trouble right now, because 10% of the people aren't closing their deals. So they get to keep the deposit, but it's still not enough to cover what the sale price was. So, right. So banks are, sitting there talking to developers and builders and say, hey, listen, you guys got to get some sales going here, because, you guys are in trouble. And all the developers and builders, they're all going through this right now. And all these closings that are happening, you're not seeing any new development happening, but just because people aren't buying. They're not buying condos. You're not going to see, but you're going to start seeing cranes in the sky. Probably once these cranes are done, you're going to see a dormant time, and then it'll start happening. But the appraisals, they do cause some problems when the market is shifting fast, especially in a down market.
Has it ever caused issues? Well, obviously it's causing issues for the buyer, but also does it ever cause issues for you guys, the real estate agents?
Oh, it has. Yeah, absolutely. You know what? There's a couple of reasons. We have to either renegotiate, and we have to talk to the other agent and say, hey, listen, this deal's not going to happen. We gotta adjust the price of our negotiations, and sometimes they can't. And then it becomes a big problem. It doesn't happen often, but we've had to renegotiate many times. And
are sellers willing to do that and work with the buyer?
Some sellers, yes. Some no. The ones that understand, they get it. Some sellers can't afford it because they need that money to go into the next house, because that's what they bought their next house based on the sale of their house. And they cannot afford to even lose another dime. So we have a couple right now. We actually got an offer on their house for $635,000. And there's a house that they're looking at, the most they can pay is $750,000. And we're going, and it's worth $750,000. It could be worth a little more, but it's vacant, so maybe there might be a little bit lenience where they'll allow these people to buy this house, but it's tight. Like it's tight. Their max is 750. Like they can, like, I mean, if an appraisal comes in lower, they may not be able to buy it because they need to put more money as a down payment. So a lot of people are going from one house to another, and they're using the equity, and they're calculating, you know, the costs and everything for the sale, the move, and everything else like that. But it does cause problems, and and you know, and there's always, you know, lawsuits, but we try to prevent that and try to make things work so everybody is kind of happy, but not really, but satisfied that everything went smoothly.
Well, and then that's where your expertise comes in, because you do make that process smooth for everyone. And obviously everyone's in different situations when it comes to real estate. And you're seeing a lot more, you know, multi-generational homes these days. And sometimes families already have it in mind that, you know, instead of moving and selling the home, the parents actually just put their, you know, children's name on the actual house. Is that is that a smart thing to do for families?
Well, it's not a bad thing, but you better know your child really well, because I got a story to tell you on something. So over here it says, should you put your house under your child's name? If your dad wants to put a house under your name, there's a couple of good reasons for it. Sometimes they'll do it for capital gain. So you need to understand the implications before agreeing. Since the house is paid off, transferring it into your name would make you legally responsible for taxes, maintenance, and liability if someone were to be injured on the property. Now, most people, when they're transferring a house, you know, from their parents are transferred to their kids' names, there's two reasons. One, maybe they're using it to buy to do a flip, so they don't have to pay capital gains, possibly because the child hasn't had a house owned in their name. But they could hurt them on the what do you call it? The first time buyer's tax credit. They'll lose that because once they use that, they lose it for when they really want to use it for themselves.
Yeah, you only get it once.
That's right. But a lot of, like, I know a guy, he buys properties, and over time he's put in different properties, and the kids lived in it, you know, for 6 months to a year, and they don't pay capital gains, right? And you know, and that saves them tax money on that. But now the government's trying to change that. If you can't, you know, move into a house and leave and move out and sell it within a year without paying some capital gains. So they're changing. That law's changed on that. They're watching you if you're doing that, especially if you do it 2, 3, 4 times in a course of 5 years. You will end up paying taxes on that because you're using your personal residence as a revenue stream for financial gain. It's not just a way of you know, you move in and 6 years later you sell it, you know, it's worth more money. You don't pay capital gains on that. But be very, very careful. I just heard a story that a lady put her son as a power of attorney or a trustee for her. She's going into an old age home. Well, he had $1 million in an account to take care of for his mother, so that she has money to pay for her her old age home. Mm-hmm. He blew it all.
Oh,
he blew it all. So she obviously didn't know him well enough, and he burned it. Bought Rolex watches, traveled, vacation, Europe. Just burned the money like it was.
Yeah.
Like he was like there was no end to it. So now she has to not live. She won't be able to afford that place anymore. And, you know, her son has to face the fact that, you know, he put his mother in this situation.
Oh, that's absolutely terrible.
It's tough. There are so many stories like that. So you really, really got to know your child if you're going to put anything in their name. You really got to know them. And you know what? And people do not believe that their kids are capable of doing stuff like that. Sometimes you got to put, if you have 2 children, put it in both their names, because there's one of them that's going to have the conscience and the other one doesn't. At least the one that has a conscience is not going to stop the other one that's going to want to take money out.
Well, you know, I always say too, my husband and I, we have no children, and we say, my goodness, like, who's going to take care of us when we're, you know, in old age? And people always say to us, you know what they always say? Just because you have children does not mean that they will take care of you.
Yeah, exactly.
You need them. So it's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
So, speaking to a real estate agent, or I'm assuming in this case, a real estate lawyer, would probably be beneficial for you before you actually make that decision, such a large decision on your home.
Absolutely. And you know what? And don't just put under one sibling. Like, let's say if you only got one child, right? And it's only there.
Mhm.
You know what? You may want to add somebody else's name to that just in case he does have some problems. A lot of parents do not know their kids that well. They don't. I mean, you know what I mean? We all do know our kids, but there could be something there we don't know, and
Sure.
there could be some financial problems they're having, and you don't know, and if they get their hands on any money, they are gonna use it and take it, and then all that hard work, all your life that you did, it's just gonna be gone.
It's
And
just gone.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Well, I mean, talking to a real estate agent like yourself, Rob, or to a real estate lawyer, you have so many stories to tell people. So words of wisdom for sure. And coming up on the Golfi Real Estate Show, if you are thinking about maybe going into the real estate market with a partner and maybe buying up some property, because now is the time, it's a buyer's market. I'm sure you've got more stories to tell and share on that, Rob. So more to come on the Golfi Real Estate Show Niagara edition on 610 CKTV.
Are you worried about selling your home on time and for the most money? Hi, I'm Rob Golfi. Every year we invest millions of dollars in our advanced marketing system, ensuring your home is seen by tens of thousands of potential buyers. We don't just hope it sells, we make it sell.
Welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show Niagara edition on 610 CKTV. My name is Aiko Iwashita, filling in for Steph Vivier, and joined as always by Rob Golfi. We appreciate your time joining us on this podcast. I got to say, there's so many people getting into the real estate market right now, especially because it is quote unquote the buyer's market. So we got to ask you, I know you've got a ton of stories to tell because I know that you've been in this game for so long. When it comes to getting into the real estate market, should you be going in by yourself or should you bring in some partners?
Well, sometimes by yourself is the best way, but bringing in partners helps you afford and to build wealth with partnerships. But you really got to know partnerships. Now, I do have a partnership on a property, and it's good. I've got a property management company, and my property management company maintains that property and takes care of everything. So everything's good. And as long as both parties have, the money and everything else like that, and if there's money needed to be injected to the property, you both can afford to do it. Now, if one can't, that's when all the arguments start happening. So for instance, years ago, when I first started buying real estate, this is before I was a real estate agent, I was partners with 3 other people. One was a mortgage broker. I was the youngest. I was like 21 years old, and I was surprised. I was actually honored that they asked me to be a partnership. And we bought this property, and it was beautiful. It was a luxury fourplex. And it was $365,000 back those days, and that was a lot of money back then.
Wow.
It was like, we're talking over 35 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so we bought this. So it was myself, a 21-year-old, another a friend of mine, but he was older than I was. He was probably about 10 years older than I was. He was in his early 30s, and then a mortgage. I said mortgage broker and a teachers, right? So there was 4 of us. So the reason why the mortgage broker put this group together of 4 of us to buy real estate, and this was supposed to be the first one. We were going to buy more, and the reason why is because we had a lot of success and as individuals doing this. So he wanted to ride our coattails and says, "Hey, let's get Rob and Carlo and get all these other people. Let's put them together and let's buy something bigger and grow this thing." So we did that, and I found that I was doing a lot of the work. And yep. So the mortgage guy wasn't doing anything, and the teachers weren't really doing anything. So myself and Carlo, the friend of mine that was a little older than I was, and we're going like, what's going on here? And I go, they're calling us to do everything. These guys are just like picking up the phone and not even making an effort, and so it got to a point where we got tired of it and we wanted out. and thank God, I'll tell you, because the market totally changed like you would not believe. We got out of that partnership, and when we got out, we're talking less than 6 months later, the market turned. They had an empty unit in this building at any given time for 2 years straight. It was
Wow.
it was bad. It was bad because it was hard to get the kind of rents back those days. Like back then, like it was $1,500 for an apartment, and that was a lot of money. And the luxury one was over 2,000. It was we're 35 years ago. That was a lot of money for rent. So that partnership, I didn't like it because one was doing more than the other, and we didn't really spell it out, and it seemed like the mortgage broker would, bill us for, doing the mortgage work, and meanwhile I'm there running around, taking care of the property, and I'm not billing my time for that. So
Right.
so I decided, say, you know what? So Carlo and I said, let's get out of this partnership. We just whatever we put into that partnership, we each put in $25,000. That's what we walked away with, $25,000.
Who goes on a title in a situation when there's 4 people?
All 4 of us go on title. I've seen properties. There's like 50 people on title. Yeah, and it becomes even a bigger nightmare when one of those people, when somebody passes away and trying to figure out, who gets what. And properties that are owned. There's people out there that own property. They forgot they own property because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and they were sold many years ago to, it could be our grandparents, and there's not even a road to it. Basically, they've done that in Quebec. There's even property like this in West Lincoln where it's in the middle of other properties surrounding it. Like you can't even walk to this property, and it's like we call it swampland property pretty well. It's not good for anything. It's only good for the people that own property attached to it if they want it, but they don't have to buy it because they're using it anyway. But partnerships, I'll tell you. You got to make sure you guys have it spelled out. And financially, you guys are both the same. Now, a lot of friends, they become partners buying a house and they move in together. Good idea, as long as you know who gets the ensuite, who doesn't. You spell it out because that could be a factor. The other thing,
is that happening more and more these days?
There's no choice. People have to do it to afford to buy a place. And it is happening. It's the best way to build equity. My kids, their friends, they did that. A couple of buddies got together. They bought a house, and they owned it for 5 years. The one buddy had a girlfriend. Now he wants to move in with his girlfriend. So they sold the property. They each ended up buying a property of themselves because they had enough equity. They built up enough equity with the property going up in value. So the one guy, he moved into a condo by himself, and he had money because he sold. And same thing with the other guy. He moved in with his girlfriend, and they're married today, and they live happily ever after. But partnerships. So
the real estate partnership thing is just starting to blossom again out of need regarding the market.
Absolutely. Now, if you do it for investment, you got to be careful. Make sure you know who's taking care of the property, who it is. The best way, I'll tell you, if you're buying property as an investment, have somebody manage it for you. And because then nobody's putting all this effort into. The only thing the management company may say, hey, listen, you need a new furnace, and it's going to be $5,000. They'll send it, and we take care of it. We'll hire out the people to make sure it's done. They send us the $5,000. We pay the people, and that's it. And that's the best way. But if one person's doing more work than the other, then it becomes a little bit of I did this more, you did this, and all that, and it becomes a problem. So partnerships are good to build equity because both your money together can buy a lot. Now, by yourself, it doesn't buy as much, but you got no headaches with partnerships. So you got to really know who you partner with. A lot of very wealthy people, especially that own real estate, they do partner because they let other people manage it. All they do, hey, just send me the statement of what it costs to maintain this building, what the income came in, and if there's any shortfalls, we will make up the difference, and that's it. That's the best. Where both parties, they're very wealthy, and If it needs money, they'll throw it in. Otherwise, they don't want to hear the headache of the property. The property management company takes care of all the headaches.
And would you then suggest going with a property management company when it comes to, let's like, the money side of the partnership?
Absolutely. I would definitely go with a property management company because you're not getting that phone call late in the evening or in the middle of the night. Property management companies like we own a property management company. It's called Golfi Property Management, and we got an emergency hotline in the middle of the night. Like if there's an issue going on, a fire, a flood, or anything, we have an emergency hotline that they call that hotline. And if it is an emergency, then our property manager that will get a phone call, and he will be on his way out there to make sure to secure anything that needs to be secured. So those are the companies that you want. And, but yeah, we take care of everything. Property managers are like I used to manage my own stuff for many years. And just because I didn't want to pay the fees and stuff like that, but I'll tell you, it's made my life easy. And people out there that own, maybe a small building or, a bunch of different duplexes and stuff like that, once you have somebody manage it, you can't go back. There's no way you want to do it anymore. Manage it yourself. Yeah, I'll tell you, because I've been there. I'm there now. Like I don't take care of it. We have property managers that handle all my real estate, and the only thing I get is, Rob, the furnace is gone, or the air conditioner, especially this past summer, the air conditioner is blown on a few places, and then I decide whether how I want to replace it, fix it, or whatever I want to do, and that's it. The property managers.
Have you ever been in a situation where your partner just kind of stops paying their share?
That's when it gets ugly. Yeah. That's when it gets really ugly. And that's when the lawsuits start happening, and then you have to sell it. And it just gets ugly because maybe the one partner doesn't have the money, but the house does need a furnace. Who pays for it? Well, will he get his money back? Like, I guess when they do the sale. So there's got to be something in writing that, hey, if I'm putting money into this, I need to get my money back out of it. Because if you're not putting it in, like, there's no way we can share the profits if you're not putting in the expenses to maintain these properties.
I guess at that point you just say, okay, it's probably best that we just sell this house. And if you are in that position of selling a house, there are obviously things that you do to get the house ready to sell. You, being in the industry for almost 30 years, have gone through a lot of open houses and put on a lot of open houses. What are the do's and don'ts? Because you would think that by now people would know, but they don't.
No, they don't. So the do's is clean and declutter thoroughly. Like, even clean, like, the edge of the baseboards.
Your version of clean and declutter could be different.
Yes.
Somebody else's version.
Yes. Yeah.
So what does it look like to you?
Like, you got to clean the toilets, and if you see a little bit of mold, if you see a little bit of mold in the bathtubs all the way around the rim, get rid of it. People don't want to see that. You got to get rid of that black mold and stuff like that.
Okay, so for you and I, you would think that would be the most obvious thing.
Yeah. But
for some people, it's not.
No, because they live with it every day and they're just used to it. It's tough. Like it's like when you look. Remember the Austin Powers movie, and Austin, and then I guess whatever his name is, Austin Powers is looking at somebody and he had a big mole on their face. He couldn't keep his eye off that mole.
Right.
If anybody saw the movie, he kept looking at the mole. He couldn't focus anymore. He was just focused on the mole. That's the same thing. You could have the most perfect room, and there could be one little blemish somewhere in that room. Your eyes go right to it. And that goes with everything. So fix up those little blemishes. They don't cost that much money. Like recaulk, do something like this with with the tub surrounding, all that kind of stuff.
Also, something as simple as taking all of your setting aside your private things. Like I have heard of, don't leave up family photos and things like that. What are your opinions on
absolutely. Take the family photos out. You want people focused on the house, not on the people that live there, and then hide.
You want them to see how they could live there with their family, not your family.
That's right. And you don't want them, let's say they come in, oh, hey, I know this is Joe I used to work with this guy years ago. Then all of a sudden the focus is off the house. Now they're talking about the people that maybe they met them one time, or they used to know them, or they were friends of their friends, and you know what I mean, or their kids went to school with their kids, and you know what I mean. Like you just got to take the focus away and just focus on the house. And
now I know that you were telling me a story a while ago about how you went to an open house under disguise. You went like incognito.
Yeah, so I was wearing a baseball cap, sunglasses, and I was wearing my shorts. And there was this house for sale, and there was an open house. Like, I'm going to take a look at this. So I was with some friends, and I walked in, and I tried to stay clear. I just wanted to see what they're doing. So I walked around the house. So I knocked on the door and opened it, and the lady came, and I know we don't have much time, but what she did was, she said a couple things about the house, and then she went and sat down in the kitchen and worked on her computer and let us roam the house without her even following us around. Terrible, terrible. And I'll tell you, if the agents on my team did that, I'd be so upset, because this agent did exactly what you're not supposed to do as an agent representing a client and doing an open house for them. Listen, wouldn't you want somebody you want your agent to follow around, make sure talking about the house, trying to sell them the house. You're a sales person, sell the house. Walk around and talk. And so if I have questions about the house, they can answer it. And she didn't really know too much about the house either. Like, she didn't really do her homework on it. So I don't know if it was her listing or somebody else's.
It was probably an agent from out of town.
Probably. She did. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So, she's a perfect example of what not to do at an open house. And if you're walking into an open house, that agent should be, getting your name, your information, and everything else like that. Because and not only that, it's good for records just in case anything happens, and for safety reasons. But also, you don't want somebody roaming in the master bedroom by themselves without the agent there. You just don't do that. You gotta walk around and have conversations and talk to the people that are coming through. So I walked out of there with my friends. I said that was probably a bad example that should be used do not do at an open for agents to do. So on my next meeting, I'm going to talk about it and discuss. You guys better not ever do this. Sit down and let people roam around without, just let them roam around like it's free. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. The do's and don'ts of open houses, the do's and don'ts of partnerships when it comes to real estate, the do's and don'ts of putting your child's name on your house, and so much more. I mean, the level of expertise and knowledge that you have is truly above and beyond. You got to call the #1 REMAX team in Canada, the Golfi team, 905-641-0308. And this is, again, another edition of the Golfi Real Estate Show, Niagara edition. Steph Vivier will be back with you and Rob next week, but you can get all these shows and more right online at 610 CKTB. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.